Guys, over the last 3 months, Microsoft has laid off over 15,000 US-based employees. That's almost 10% of their workforce. But at the same time, they're doubling down on India and AI. And today, we're going to explore this. I posted a video about this a couple days ago. I'll put a link to it up here. But I talked about this the other day about how much they're doing with AI. What I didn't recognize at the time was how much investment was going into India. And some of my homies out there that are watching the videos, people just like you, posted in the comments some of these facts. And while some of it was a little off the chain, some of it was real. And we're going to explore some actual real data and some real facts about this today. Guys, we are undergoing the biggest shift in human history when it comes to the workforce. And if you haven't had the chance to experience AI for yourself, you need to start tasting it and testing it and using it every single day. I'm not the kind of guy to tell you what you need to do, but this is important. This is important. There's an estimate. I've heard estimates as high as 200 million jobs displaced over the next 5 years. Do you think that'll impact you? Do you think that'll impact the way that you work? It will. So at any rate, let's talk about what's actually happening here, okay? Because this is pretty nuts. The numbers. In May, Microsoft laid off 6,000 employees, and then they, again in July, laid off 9,000 employees. Again, that's almost 10% of the workforce. And guys, I don't think this is going to stop. I think they're going to double down on this. Why do I think that? Let's talk about who is affected. This is primarily their Xbox team, sales team, legal team. And by the way, sayonara legal. We're tired of you guys anyway. You lawyers, you're freaking annoying. But I realize that you serve a purpose, but damn, man, lawyers. Aggravating. Anyway, but the sales department's interesting too. I think what a lot of organizations are realizing is that you can automate a lot of these tasks away. And we're going to talk about some of the numbers there, some of the actual percentages of tasks that can be automated a little bit later in the video. And you need to look at your own organization and what you're doing within your own organization. Microsoft has doubled down on a commitment. They are allocating $80 billion to AI development over the next several years. $80 billion. It's a pretty big chunk of change that they're developing. Microsoft Copilot, crazy good. They've got partnerships with OpenAI. So Microsoft is going to be really doubling down. Every tech company is doubling down right now. But when you see companies actually making layoffs, actually investing tens of billions of dollars, it kind of opens up that perspective a little bit. I mean, I talked about this in a video the other day. I'll post a link to it up here. I'm just posting lots of links. I've been talking about all this stuff. But Zuckerberg is offering hundreds of millions of dollars to people to transition over from programs like OpenAI. And he's been successful. A lot of people are switching teams. It's kind of funny, growing up, we would, or not even growing up, but a lot of people play fantasy football. Who's the big draft pick right now? And it's kind of like that in the tech world. Like, oh, did you hear this guy just got $100 million signing bonus? That doesn't even include salary, by the way. So it's just kind of interesting how much money is flowing right now in these fields. And by the way, guys, if you really want to keep up with what's happening with layoffs, firing, big companies, and not just big companies, but how you can kind of stay in the game, definitely want to hit subscribe and turn on your notifications, because I'm bringing videos to you 6 days a week. 6 days a week we're talking about this stuff. Okay, so kind of to back up just a little bit, I've been talking a lot about AI. And in the comments of this previous video, the community, the audience of guys out here was saying India is taking up a large share. So let's look at that. Microsoft announced earlier this year that they are going to be investing $3 billion into AI and cloud infrastructure in India. $3 billion. $3 billion. So what does that mean? This is warehouses, servers, and tech. A lot of that, we're not going to get into this video, but obviously that's been a big push by the Trump administration to bring back these sorts of warehouses and data centers here to the United States. Chamath Palihapitiya from the All In podcast, billionaire, is developing a huge data center in Texas. So I'll probably talk more about that as more information comes in. But at any rate, Microsoft is going to India. They're building it out in India. That expansion is going to include, again, data centers, job creation, and skilling, get this, skilling 10 million people by 2030. What? 10 million people? Guys, we're looking at the numbers here. Right now, Microsoft employs about 160,000 people. They're looking at upskilling 10 million Indians. 10 million Indians Microsoft's gonna be investing in to get them upskilled. That's a crazy number. I'm still kind of actually wrapping my head. So one of the cool things that happens when you start digging into topics like this is you're constantly saying, wow, wow. So 10 million people, exactly where that's gonna go, I don't know. We're gonna find out and I'll keep reporting on it. But that's a lot of people. And I could just say from personal experience building out my marketing agency, I read The 4-Hour Workweek about a few years ago on a trip to Jamaica with my wife. And it blew my mind what was possible. And so I started hiring people from all over the world. I have people in the Philippines, Serbia, and I have Indians. And all of them are great. I have no complaints. I could make a whole video about some of the pros and cons of outsourcing, but one of the big ones is cost savings. You can save a lot of money. And I've worked with several Indians. I thought they were excellent. They spoke well, they knew their stuff, and they got the job done. So something to think about. Why would I hire, just to give you some perspective, there would be tasks that I would need to pay someone, we'll say $20 an hour to do here in the United States, where I can pay someone in India $6 to $7 an hour to do it. If I want someone that's more skilled, it's probably closer to $10. But then you start looking at jobs like software development, AI, web development, architecture, systems architecture. I mean, those are expensive jobs. Historically, those jobs have been $150 an hour. But you could probably hire someone really good in India for $15 an hour. Not to mention, something I've been talking about is using AI to build out these systems. I mean, I'm not an expert in software development, but I've been playing and building out some really, really cool software just in my free time. And I keep talking about this. I think this is one of the best ways to upskill. And I talked about this in a video the other day. You don't need to go to college to learn the skills anymore. I don't think that path makes sense anymore. The path that makes sense is dedicating some cash, dedicating your time to building out software in your free time, because what's going to happen is you're building out software is you're going to learn how these tools work, how they interact. You're going to learn everything from data sets to schema to systems architecture. You're going to learn how AI does it. And what's really cool, and I've been loving Replit, that's my drug of choice right now. But if you're using Replit, what you're able to do is you're able to code and build out softwares and websites and apps just with your words. You don't need to learn an entire coding language, right? And I know what the developers out there are going to say is, oh, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. Bro, the proof is in the pudding, because I've got software that's working and people are using it right now. And it's really fascinating to see what's happening and what's possible when you're building out something that's simple and solves a problem. And building out minimum viable solutions is, I think, a really good place to go. We are not going to go too deep into that, because today we're talking about Microsoft in India, okay? So at any rate, they're going to be upskilling 10 million people by 2030. I think that's a crazy number. And they already have 20% of their workforce in India. And guys, if they have 160,000, I mean, 10%, 20,000 employees is over 10%. So over 10% of Microsoft workforce is based in India. They're upskilling in India. They're dedicating billions of dollars to build out that infrastructure. They're upskilling. Their plan is to upskill 10 million. So like, this is a pretty big shift. So respect to all the guys in the comments that are leaving that type of information. Now, Microsoft has no official confirmation, but there is a surge in job listings in India for AI, cloud, and cybersecurity roles. Those are roles, by the way, that historically have gone to Americans. So now, guys, if you're an American, you are officially in competition with India and other countries across the world. And again, I got nothing but love and respect for people overseas. Everybody's a human. Every human has infinite value. I think that's important to note. So I don't have any problem there. But what I do want to highlight here is that if you are an American, and if you have a mortgage, and if you have kids, and if you want to live a nice life, you are in competition not just with the neighbors around you. You see, like in this beautiful neighborhood, I'm not just competing against the men and women in my neighborhood. I'm competing against people all over the world. That has happened. Tim Ferriss talked about in the 4-hour work week over a decade ago. And it is on steroids right now because of what AI is able to do and because of the way that education has shifted from the college university model to web-based learning, certifications, et cetera, et cetera. So this is interesting too. We talk about roles affected by the layoffs. In the United States, software engineers, sales, gaming, legal, screw you guys. And then we have India, none. No layoffs reported. Interesting. The new rules that are created in the United States is limited, focused on AI infrastructure and investment. In India, AI training, data labeling, algorithm development. AI and outsourcing connection. In the United States, layoffs are designed to fund AI with a potential replacement from H-1B workers. It's a little bit controversial apparently, but I mean, the writing's on the wall. So the layoffs are funding the AI and the replacements, while in India, they're taking those funds and building data centers and training high-skilled labor. What roles, so let's talk a little bit about what roles are being automated, because, you know, people are gonna say, well, AI can't do my job like I can. There are some things that AI can't do. AI is not gonna be able to look a human in the eye, shake their hand, and make an emotional connection. At least not yet, but what can AI do? AI is automating roles in HR and sales and in coding, and I just talked about coding, but it's automating these roles at extreme pace. In fact, Bloomberg reports that 67% of sales rep tasks can be automated, 67%. And guys, I come from the sales and marketing world. Some of the stuff I'm seeing is insane. AI chatbots, by the way, LinkedIn is unusable because of them. That's another story. AI chatbots, AI video, AI phone dialers, customer service. These roles are changing so fast. I mean, it is just really insane. I need to record a video on that because that is just crazy what's happening there. Microsoft Copilot tool reports reducing contract time by 70%. And this is something I keep talking about, guys. Why you should be building AI software now is not just to get rich off selling a software, although that is definitely a possibility, but it's because you're going to be training and learning skills that are going to be very relevant in upcoming job interviews when you get fired during this massive disruption that we're seeing in the workplace. So at any rate, the risk is reduced tremendously because it costs a lot less to develop the software and it takes a lot less time. And that's why I think Microsoft Copilot is interesting. So these efficiency gains reduce the workforce needs in some areas while increasing other areas. So again, we need to reskill, we need to upskill. Now's the time. And I mean, let's be clear, there are massive frustrations over layoffs. There's fears of offshoring and AI-driven replacement. There are different schools of thought here. And I think this is an interesting stat. According to polls, 52% of workers worry about AI's impact, while 36% are hopeful. So you can put me in that 36%. I'm very hopeful. I think that there are some really, really exciting opportunities. But if you're in that 52% that's scared, that's okay. I think that it's reasonable to be feared. You can't have courage without fear. I tell my daughter that all the time. You cannot have courage without fear. So now is the time to learn, to have courage, to recognize the threat, and start adjusting now before it's too late. Don't come and post on my channel, in 6 months saying, Mark, I got laid off. Well, you could post that, but don't say I got laid off, now I don't know what to do. Guys, now is the time to start preparing, because it's going to happen. Your role is either going to be removed or changed dramatically over the next several years. And there's people like Bernie Sanders that goes around saying, well, because of AI, everything's going to be efficient, and we just need a 4-hour work week, or 4-day work week. You only need to work 4 days a week, guys. That's the goal. That is probably the worst advice I have ever heard. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a strong quality of life. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have family time. I put that on a very high pedestal. But now is not the time to be asking for a 4-day work week. Now is the time to be upskilling, asking for raises, generating better results for your organization. And you're not going to get that with a 4-day work week. And I know this. I think that most humans know this in the back of their heads. But it's fun to be fed that dream of, well, AI is going to do everything for us, and we're just going to sit back, pleasure ourselves, and eat candy all day. Time and a place for that, boys. Time and a place for that. At any rate, I appreciate you watching this video today. Thanks for subscribing. I'm gonna keep bringing you the biggest news, and wake up, guys. Now's the time to wake up. And just special thanks to everyone in that last video that was active in the comments and alerting me to what was happening in India, because that allowed me to do some research, look at the numbers, and see, oh yeah, it's a big deal. Microsoft is actually allocating billions of dollars to infrastructure in India, and they're upskilling 10 million workers in India. I mean, that's over 5 times their workforce. So I don't know exactly what their plans are with that workforce, but that is certainly a big number. That is a big number. And those are big numbers of people, just like you and me, that are going to be competing against people just like you and me. All right, boys, go out, make it happen. Thanks for subbing. See you in the next vid.